So hello again, it's Neil Wilkins here, and welcome to the end of the week, the end of our first, I guess you could call it pre-week, before we get into the real work next week. So wherever you are in the world, you are either waking up right now, and if it's anything like it is here in the UK this morning, it is very dark and it's very damp, and I guess to a lot of people quite uninspiring, but I hope you'll be agreeing with me when I say that this is actually probably one of the most inspiring starts to the year I think we've ever had as we come through what have been some challenging times for a lot of people. And this week, as our pre-week, before we begin some real fun personal development, mindfulness, and activities in the coming weeks, and in fact, I've invited you as we've gone through this year to join me really to explore the mantra which I've declared for myself, which for this year is awareness and abundance. So looking at all things mindfulness, presence, and manifesting abundance in everything that is appropriate for both my life, but obviously if you join me on the journey, for yours too. And the number of people has been astounding actually who have said, I want a part of this. I want to be, listening, and I want to be sharing, and I want to be collaborating and contributing because I want some of this myself. I want to become more self-aware and mindful, and I also want to be seeing a little bit more abundance and not just being kind of either drifting along in my life or feeling like I'm being pulled by somebody else or situation or whatever. I want to take a little bit more control back. And I think for me, that is really the big opportunity here this year. So I'm really excited about it, as you can probably tell. So this week, in our pre-week, in preparation for beginning properly next week, I've talked to you about a couple of habits, and I've got a third one for you to explore as we go through this weekend. So the first habit was removing the word should from your communication, because should is not a helpful word in any way, shape or form. When we start to say should, we are compromising either ourselves or our situation or the people around us. So just exploring should, listen back to the previous sessions to find out a little bit more about the importance of should. And that'll be one of the things that we will explore deeply as we go through this year. We're going to be focusing on the musts, the highest priority, highest value things in our lives, not just the shoulds, which will take up a huge amount of our precious time, and it really is precious because we never get these days back again. So let's make the most of them. We also explored habit 2, as I was calling these things habits because creating daily habits is super important for creating self-awareness and then seeing abundance realized in your world. So habit 2, this daily habit, was to feel and not just think about what you want as though you already have it. In other words, actually be living the life that you desire, be living in the situational scenario, but not just thinking about it, but actually feeling as though it's actually happening. And we are going to do some deep dives on that this year because, again, it's a vital tool, vital technique to really kind of make this thing happen. And it is about this word manifestation. You probably come across this in a whole variety of different guises. And it's often been kind of misused, this word manifestation, and it kind of becomes a little bit cheapened. But actually, it is about real focus, real pure clarity over both what you want, what you desire, what you should really have, and there's the word should, but should have in your world because it's the highest of value, the highest things of value to you and those around you. So manifestation is really, really important because it's one of those concepts within awareness and abundance, because it is something that just gives you that clarity over both your purpose but also the destination that you're heading to by being in that situation from the get-go, from the start. So another little habit for you, another little concept for you to think about as we go through both today and then deeper into the weekend. And this is the concept, or hopefully will become the habit, of remembering that everything just is. What does he mean by that? Everything just is. What I'm saying is that we, as human beings, typically, to perceive things and to understand things and to remember both the purpose and the value of things, we give them meaning. Okay, and it's our personal perception of the meaning of things, the meaning of opportunities, the meaning of moments, the meaning of different people. In other words, we give everything meaning. So everything we encounter, people, places, products, houses, whatever it happens to be, we give these things meaning. So objects, so inanimate objects as well as animate things. We give things meaning. In fact, we give everything meaning, because otherwise, if we didn't do that, we would need in every single moment to be relearning from zero. And of course, we don't have the capacity or probably the desire to be doing that. So we have memories, and those memories allow us to interpret very, very quickly and subconsciously, eventually, when we're not kind of analyzing stuff, the meaning of everything that we see and encounter around us. Now, that's obviously a good thing, because it saves us a heck of a lot of time. So we don't have to kind of reinvent things from scratch each time we see them or encounter them. But therein lies a bit of a challenge, because once we start to give things meaning, we start to interpret them. We start to give them a rating, if you like. And it might not be a numerical rating. It could just be a view or a kind of a judgment call, if you like, as to both how important they are, but actually what they really truly mean. And so what I'm challenging you to do is today and through the rest of the weekend is to remember that everything just is. Because what you interpret and give meaning for a particular thing will be very different to me and very different to the other person. So this is a really, really interesting concept. And for me, if you kind of believe what I'm saying and you sort of understand really the point that I'm making, is that if we give meaning to everything, what it means, and this is a really interesting bit, is that we can change the meaning of anything. So if we don't like what a particular thing or person or object stands for or means to us, we have an opportunity. If we get really smart at this and we develop this as a habit of really understanding that everything just is, then we have the opportunity of changing the meaning of that person or thing or object. And this is called reframing, and it will be something that when we get into the real work, the deeper work, as we begin next week, I'll be talking about reframing quite a lot, because it's a really important exploration, if you like, in this whole idea of creating self-awareness or mindfulness. Again, depends whatever word you want to use. Again, these are your words, not mine, so you can choose whichever word you like. So I just want to give you a couple of examples to really kind of set the scene for this, because it is a very, very important habit to begin to develop. And these things take time. When I'm talking about daily habits, I don't mean, oh, well, I did it today, so now it's a habit. This is about really immersing yourself in some of these things if you choose to. You know, nobody's going to force you to do this stuff. This is about self-exploration, enjoying the journey, being almost like a sponge, so that you're kind of absorbing some new ideas and seeing which ones resonate. Not all the things that we'll talk about on this journey, if you choose to come with me on it, will resonate. And that's fine, because it's you and I'm me and you're you, and it really doesn't matter. The idea is that within some of these concepts, as they are for me and have been for me, will be some golden nuggets, some things that really truly resonate, and they become inherent in you, they become part of you. And for me, that's the really exciting part of this. So this daily habit, number 3 for today and the weekend, remembering that everything just is. I want to give you a couple of examples to kind of bring this to life, because we're just talking theoretically right now. So first example is a car. Okay, so in your mind's eye, I want you to picture a car. Now, depending on who you are, okay, and you are you will have a meaning of the concept of a car and the word car. So when I say car to you, what do you see? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to actually answer it, but see it in your mind's eye. What do you see when I say think of a car? Is it something that gets you from point A to point B? Do you see this as a polluter, something that's really bad for the planet? Is it for you a status symbol because you've worked really hard to get it and it kind of makes you look a certain kind of person? Do you see traffic jams? Do you see kind of like roadblocks when I think of car and when you think of car? Is a car your passion? You know, do you kind of literally spend all your waking time thinking about your car, treating your car, cleaning your car? Or is it your home? Do you literally live and breathe in your car all the time because you have a traveling kind of role? If I say car to you, you will have your own perception, your own meaning of car. And of course, for all of us, it is subtly different based on our previous experiences. But then I'll stop and I'll say to you, well, hold on though, it's just a car. And of course it is. What you've done is you've interpreted it based on your memories, based on your previous experience. You've interpreted that word and that vision in your mind's eye that you have when I say, think of a car. You've interpreted it based on those memories, based on those perceptions, based on the meaning that you've given to the concept of a car. And it will be, I promise you, different to the concept that I have in my mind. So everything just is. It's still just a car. And yet we interpret it, we give it meaning, we value it in very, very different ways, which gives us the opportunity, because it is just what it is, to reinterpret, to re-mean, to re-evaluate, to reposition, and I use the word again, reframe the car in our minds. Now, to me, that's really exciting. It gives us huge opportunities for being both self-aware and mindful over stuff. And of course, if everything just is, it gives us a chance, should we choose to take the challenge up, of moving the game forward in a way such that we can reframe some of the things that aren't serving us. So when I talked earlier this week about the word should and it not being a very helpful thing, well, this is now a concept, if you kind of believe that, this is a concept, the reframing concept, that allows us to do a deeper dive onto some of the things, some of those really pertinent topics, those really important people that aren't necessarily serving us in terms of where we want to go. So some of these early steps of self-awareness to create this world that we're seeking, to create this world that we would love to be part of, create this world that we really desire and want to manifest, comes from these initial building blocks of figuring out, how am I interpreting stuff? How am I assigning and appropriating meaning to the things that are in my world? Because everything just is. And everybody is perceiving everything from a personal perspective. But it is just what it is, so therefore we can reframe that stuff. I'll give you another example. If I use the word vaccination, okay, I said the big word. It's a very polarizing topic. It didn't used to be a particularly polarizing topic. It was a one flavor kind of entity, a one flavor thing. But if I say to you the word vaccination now, it is highly polarizing. It's highly emotive. And this is based on politics. This is based on community. This is based on self-belief. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to say anything is right or wrong. I'm just sharing the fact that vaccination as a word, as a concept, is highly emotive and polarizing. So what's going on? It is just what it is. It's a vaccination. And yet, from a personal perspective, how do we interpret the word vaccination? If I say the word vaccine to you, how do you perceive that? Again, without judgment, is it a relief to you? Is it a necessary evil? Is it an invasion of your body? Is it a cure? What is it? Because it will be subtly different for each and every one of us, based on our social influences, based on our beliefs, based on our preferences, based on where we live, based on our family, friends, and peers. And yet, it is just what it is. It's just a vaccine. Now, I'm using the word just to kind of almost like sort of devalue, if you like, the concepts that we're talking about here as examples, to not actually assign or appropriate value to these things and say, well, everything, I could just say everything is, but I'm saying everything just is, to kind of almost just sort of push it back down and say, it only becomes something of value or something to fear or something to celebrate when you actually assign value to it or meaning to it. Which to me is a fascinating concept, because then we start to get control over the way that we perceive things, the way that we interpret things, and the way that we can take control over our worlds and our lives. So these are some really, really interesting concepts. And to me, this habit 3, which I'm going to sort of suggest and invite you to play with as you go through the rest of your day today, and just really explore, is that if everything just is, what kind of value, what kind of things am I appropriating or am I assigning to these objects, these people, these situations, these scenarios, these opportunities, these threats, whatever, however you want to describe these things. If they are just what they are, why is it that I react in a certain way when I'm triggered by this particular thing? Why is it I get particular joy when I look at that opportunity or when I think about that particular person or object? Everything just is. And it's our meaning, our interpretation, and our value that brings it to life for us. And if we are not being served by a particular thing, object, or person, it's an opportunity to reframe how we perceive that person, object, or thing. So really, really interesting stuff. And I hope you'll have a little play with that concept, that habit 3, as we go through this today and for the rest of this weekend, because to me it's a really, really fascinating one that allows us to take this control in this whole idea of self-awareness. So it's coming to the end of the week, and I said yesterday that on Monday the 10th at midday UK time, I would share with you the schedule of the journey ahead, and I was going to announce to you some of the content, the ideas, the webinars, the interviews, the thoughts and the techniques and stuff that I want to share with you on this journey as we go forward this year. And so that's what I'll be doing. So I'm really, really excited. It's only a few days away, and so right here on that time at midday UK time on Monday the 10th, I will share with you the initial plan, because it is the initial plan for where we're going to be headed this year. And one of the lovely things about this journey is that it's kind of partly planned. I do know most of the things that we're going to be talking about, but I've left a little bit of flexibility in there, because as we journey on this together and as we get feedback, as we collaborate and share ideas, new stuff will emerge. And for me, that's the really exciting thing. I'm not here as a pure teacher. I'm here as somebody who is actually on the journey as well. And that's why it's me saying I invite you to join me on the journey, because we're all going to be exploring this. And I'll share with you some of the stuff that I'm doing. And I've got a couple of courses that I'm actually on myself at the moment, and I'll share with you the experience of those. And if it resonates, be very willing, very welcome to join me. But this is about exploration, and it's about finding self and using that concept of self and how the way that we perceive the world, and be very mindful and very present as far as we can. We're human, we don't have to beat ourselves up if we're not perfect, but the concept of finding more mindfulness is a really, really powerful one, and that is what we're going to be exploring. And from that baseline, creating abundance, the things that we want, the things that we desire, the things that really would serve us well going forward. And this is to deliver to our higher purpose. And I'll talk a lot about this on Monday, the whole concept of living by Ikigai, the idea that we are living to a higher purpose. And I've spent quite a bit of time with Sonia over the last 18 to 24 months, creating an online course in this whole regard of Ikigai. And Ikigai basically is meaning living in your sweet spot, living in that opportunity that the world of living provides to us, which is very much living, doing things that we love, that the world needs, that we're good at, and that we can be rewarded for. And that sweet spot at the center of all those things is this huge opportunity to be living the life that most people only really dream about. But if we take the opportunity to really self-reflect, become very self-aware, really understand actually what's going on, or at least get a grasp of some of what's going on, because we're only human. But if we do that, it opens up the opportunity, a huge opportunity for us to really be living and manifesting that life that we desire. And then from that, we can create abundance. So more of the good stuff, more of the most valuable stuff, and then really, truly be living to a higher purpose. So that's the goal. That is the desire. So if you are interested in joining me on this journey, send me an email to mail@neilwilkins.online. That's mail@neilwilkins.online. And obviously, as we go through this journey together, I can share with you sort of the times when we're going to be meeting up and exploring stuff, and when I'm going to be doing these interviews that I'm talking about. So I'll be able to keep you in touch with everything that's going on. So I would really, really welcome that you join me on this. And at the very, very least, join me at the same time, the same same place rather, at on Monday at noon UK time. So that's midday UK time, exactly where you are right here, right now at that time. And I will share with you the plan for the first few steps in our journey. This has been a pre-week, habits 1 to 3. Big habit today is very much remembering that everything just is. And on Monday, we'll explore how we can take these first 3 habits forward to begin to live and manifest a real life of self-awareness and abundance. I really hope you'll join me for this exciting journey. Thanks for listening and watching, and have a great weekend wherever you are.